The AI bubble is in the process of bursting, and it turns out AI data centers are a bigger disaster than anyone thought, and I'm not just talking about environmentally, it's actually a financial disaster. Data centers are essentially where AI happens, and if you've ever had a laptop, you might notice it's pretty much obsolete after about 3 years. This has caused a battle between AI companies where each one tries to move the technology along, so billions of dollars put into tech is suddenly obsolete a week later. That is untenable. However, it was previously estimated that hardware at a data center would need to be replaced after about 10 years, although current estimates are saying more like 3 at the low end, which makes sense. Laptops kind of break down, granted there is planned obsolescence, but more so the technology is just moving so fast. It was estimated that in order for the tech industry collectively to be able to replace data centers, it would have to make more like $500 billion to $1 trillion in a year, not the average of $20 billion that's currently being had, meaning AI is temporary and data centers cannot be maintained. Yeah, it's actually really expensive. Yes, some tech companies are buying nuclear power plants in order to keep up with the power, but that is just the power. There's a lot of other stuff that goes into it. Many cities have been fighting actually having data centers in their communities along with power plants that power them. Turns out it wasn't the worst thing. It's not exactly like Walmart, and I'm not a fan of Walmart. I actually despise Walmart. When they come in and put a center in, or Amazon centers, they do really bring jobs. Data centers probably bring some jobs too, but they're doomed. There's also, the environmental cost as well, and the fact that it diverts power from the community. So that was one big concern. If there's an emergency, would a data center then have the same priority as everyone else, meaning that the city is, in fact, less sturdy to an emergency because it exists? There is that consideration, and one solution is for them to have their own generator, which would keep them running, but it would also pull on the power supply for the community until there's an emergency, in which case it will continue to function. Not the best solution. And while we're at it, let's talk about AI psychosis. Yeah, it turns out AI is really bad for mental health, and people who have never had any mental health issues are suddenly having psychotic events when they've talked to AI. It's blown up marriages. Some people have been arrested after discussing things with their AI. The specific issue is just madness of two. It's a psychological phenomenon in which two people share a delusion, and turns out AI is very good at manipulating people into this specific condition, which is supposed to be rare. But if you think about it, right? If you're to talk to a human friend and say, hey, I think my wife's been replaced by an identical copy, your friend will say, are you okay? Do you need to talk to somebody? But AI might say, yeah, I understand why you would feel that way. And then it goes on. So it is easy to see how these things happen. If you have been using certain major AIs like OpenAI and you're wondering why it's acting weird, it's because people have been suing them because of just stuff like this. Your AI made me go insane. Not me, personally, but people are claiming it. They're trying to avoid liability, and this is an entirely new system. They don't want everyone to hop on the train of suing because then it sets precedent, and then we might have a class action lawsuit on our hands. So they're tightening the reins, but it is actually quite frustrating. Just be happy to know AI is doomed. Don't think it'll go away entirely. Nothing ever does, but it's going to be scaled down massively and become much more expensive.